It's been an amazing year in terms of advancement of the technology, experience with the technology, and certainly growth of our organization and of our portfolio. So our growth has been very much international. And over half of our new members in the last 12 months are from outside the U.S. We've had a large contingent of new members from the user community, service providers, enterprises. And that's terrific to see because their voice is very important. We represent the voice of the user. So seeing those members come in, make the investment, and put in the time, and put in some of their great technical people, I continue to be amazed by the level of technical talent all these companies are contributing to our activities. We've looked at the whole SDN space and trying to figure out what is our role, how do we make it commercially successful? And we're focusing very much on the OpenFlow substrate, as we're calling it, as a foundation for building all of this great value in SDN. Last year, we sort of stabilized on OpenFlow 1.3 as a stable target for implementers. I think that was completely successful. If you look at product announcements and roadmaps, they're all mentioning 1.3 or announcing 1.3 support. Some are still doing 1.0. And more customers are stipulating that they want an open SDN solution based on OpenFlow, and 1.3 is frequently mentioned. So I think that's worked really well. We're continuing to evolve this substrate in a number of dimensions, continuing to work on 1.3.x, which are really just sort of little fixes to 1.3. We're moving to 1.4, backward compatible, and we have a process now whereby we can bundle advancements and new features together sort of in time and not have to frequently change the base spec. We're also now prototyping features before they go into a spec based on the board's mandate that we have working code before we put anything down into unerasable ink. The OpenFlow protocol spec itself is moving along. We've had a lot of progress in OpenFlow configuration to where we've actually expanded the scope of that working group to include the first elements of what we call OA&M, operations, administration, and maintenance, starting with an event framework, going to Bootstrap, and also elements of security for establishing trust between a controller and a switch. As you're well aware, we have added a new working group on optical transport because our members and various customers were using OpenFlow to switch optical links rather than just Ethernet ports. And this takes OpenFlow very much into the WAN. And there have been prototype deployments already. Some were using sort of ad hoc vendor extensions to OpenFlow while we're making it part of OpenFlow. Just tremendous interest there. We've also started an effort in security of the OpenFlow protocol because it's important that people can rely on it. That will then be followed by using OpenFlow to enhance network security. It's a great tool for dynamically adjusting network operation and security mechanisms as new threats appear. And I think that'll be very, very popular. We are continuing to follow our mantra of measuring ourselves by commercial success, so we're doing a number of things to foster implementation and deployment of the technology. So we're going to have conformance testing specifications this year and a certification plan and program. We actually, in the last year, we did sanction our first conformance testing laboratory. It's at Indiana University. ONF does not do conformance testing. It's going to be an open market for testing, but we own and write the specs for conformance testing. This gives buyers the confidence that what they're getting really does OpenFlow and will work with other people. Interoperability is not guaranteed by conformance, so in addition, we are continuing with our plan for plug fests and demos. We had 2 plug fests last year. We had interoperability demos at a number of conferences, and those will continue. We've published the results of those plug fests on our website for everyone to see. What did we learn? And then we've improved the protocol, and people have improved their products as well. We are trying to strengthen what we call the hardware supply chain for OpenFlow switching. The software market is running as fast as it can, and nobody needs to help them run faster. It's a little harder. In hardware, we have to have some agreements. So we're doing a number of things there. We're really moving forward with table typing patterns in our forwarding abstractions working group, which enables chipsets to really configure the architecture of their pipelines and process different kinds of tests and tables. And we're convening a chipmakers advisory board to help us understand what can be done, what's the best way of helping this industry get products out there as quickly as possible for the widest variety of choice. We have just announced an expansion of what last year was our Academic Associates program to what we're now calling our Research Associates program. So it's not just academic researchers, but other kinds of researchers. I think we have now a dozen from really all over the world. We've added people in South America, in Asia, and in Europe, as well as North America. Full participation privilege for these researchers at no charge whatever to them. And we are right now sitting in the Open Networking Laboratory, and they have a new research associate as the primary principal investigator, and under that person get a second one who will also be working with us inside ONF to advance the technology in ways that can help us and help them. This OpenFlow substrate only has value if you can build services on top of it, and we're doing a number of things to try to foster the development of services and support services above OpenFlow. So we have work going on in our architecture and framework working group to define more of the framework and architecture, not to create a standard, but to create understanding of what the elements are, what the interfaces are, what the space really looks like, and how you then would interact with existing service provision platforms like OSS and BSS to build services. We are particularly dedicated to the success of the network functions virtualization activity going on in ETSI. We have really the closest liaisons with any other organization with the NFV group to make sure that the substrate has all the hooks and the support to enable the virtualization of these functions that make it easy for them to deploy them in software rather than in appliances. We are doing a requirements document for layer 4 to 7 functions that can be virtualized to make sure that we know what's required and we can meet those needs. With Open Daylight, for example, we have nearly all of the participants in Open Daylight are members of ONF. And we look at that as sort of the next step in this whole commercialization effort. We're developing this substrate. We're doing the standards for the southbound interface and also looking at things above. I should mention that one of the things we're doing to support services above is doing a study of the northbound API. We have resisted urgings for us to standardize it. We don't believe we should standardize the northbound API as a standards committee. Better, it should be determined in the marketplace by software implementation. And so we're all in favor of people going out there and trying something, iterating, letting people contribute software and developing an API that works in particular markets. I don't think there'll be just one, and if we did a standard, we would miss a bunch of other markets, but this is exactly the way to go about it. So we are doing the study to help people understand what's out there, why are they so different? And we're going to get into the data models and hopefully a gap analysis this year about the Northbound API and the use cases that the examples that we know of already serve. So we are building the standard that they are going to use for the southbound interface. That's the OpenFlow. That's the OpenFlow substrate I talked about. And they are building upon it. So we have sort of two, not exactly dependencies, but sort of synergies with us, and that we're supplying this for them to build and for them to build upon.